Peace, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is Fasting is Life, and I am back again with another awesome topic of today. But before we get into it, I would like to remind you guys, for those of you who are new to my YouTube channel, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. And if you're listening to this podcast through Anchor, Spotify, and other podcast platform, please make sure you favorite and share it. And if you want to see the visual or the video, you can always go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. And let's get to today's topic. As you can see in the title, today's topic is understanding suicide among men. And another video I just published recently touched on this topic about suicide. And I was like, since my channel, I talk about health, I was like, why not? I'm a man, and suicide affects men more than women, especially living in the United States. So I was like, hey, this could be an interesting topic. You know, as a man, I understand the mindset that we have. Sometimes we tend to keep to ourselves, and it can get frustrating for some people who don't have the mental stability or the mental capacity to basically handle all the pressure that they keep to themselves. They need a form of release, but somehow they cannot get it. So I'll be reading an article that that speaks on this, and the title of my stream is also the title of this article. It was published last December. So what I'll do is I'll be reading through it and basically touch on what it's talking about, and after that, give a little bit of my point of view and summary as to why it is a topic that society doesn't really touch as much as we will assume they would, but it is something that I think we should be speaking on. So let's get into it. Let me read the article. It says, and I read. mm oh, actually, before I can start the article, to all my brothers out there who may be depressed or going to suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, please make sure you call this number 1-800-273-8255. It is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So here's a number. If you want to talk to someone, you can reach them out. All right, let's get into the article. It says, in recent years, there has been a steady increase in the number of men who end their own lives prematurely through suicide. Research shows that while women tend to experience more suicidal thinking, men are far more likely to die by suicide. The Center of Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, reports that over 47,000 people died by suicide in 2017 in the United States. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death overall. In 2015, suicide was the seventh leading cause of death for all American men, according to the National Center of Injury Prevention and Control. Suicide is a serious problem in the United States and worldwide, but there is hope. And it lists the suicide statistics, which basically says one of the facts. It says the suicidal rate for men was 3.5 times higher than it was for women. The suicide rate is highest among middle-aged white men, who accounted for about 70% of all suicides in 2017. So it's for all my subscribers who are Caucasian, this message should resonate more with y'all. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, you were more likely to be affected someone close to you who passed away through suicide. and I'll say almost everyone that I know around me who's Caucasian, all of them have a story that one of their loved ones died through suicide. It's very common. So it's not a topic where it's you cannot say, oh, it's here and there. It's very common, right? So uh, this article, I'm sure it's gonna touch you. Let me continue. It says men over the age of 65 are at the greatest risk of suicide. WHO, which is the World Health Organization, reports that suicide represents half of all male violent deaths worldwide. That's a high number. Wow. And then it says, continuing, it says, here are some important things to understand about suicide among men and what you can do if you or your loved one are having hopeless feelings or having thoughts about suicide. Because it first comes in the mind, you're thinking about something, you're depressed, and something comes over your mind, you're like, hey, maybe my life is, just not worth it. Maybe I'll find peace if I'm no longer feeling this way. That's that's what that train of thought comes in, you know. And usually that thought will overwhelm so much that they become convinced that that is the only solution. And those people, they reach a point of no return where they will not listen to anybody but that voice. Why? Because they've taken that voice, that inner voice, which for those of us who believe in scriptures, we call that a demon. It's a spirit, it's an entity. Because I know most people are not spiritual or they don't believe in spirituality, but the Bible says in Ephesians 6:12, it says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and power. If you as a person, you're being influenced by a voice saying that you need to end yourself, which is against nature, which even animals can show you. I'm gonna inject something. Have you guys ever tried to kill a bug or kill an insect like cockroach and fly and whatever? Do you want to know one thing of all those animals, which we will say that they're lesser being than us? You want to know one thing? It's coming for all of them before they die. You know what they do? They fight for their life. Why? Have you ever thought about that? Like I say, I'm a thinker. As I see things, I contemplate. I have, you know, I think about life, and take some time, just think. And that is one thing. Maybe you never saw this way, but that is one of the I've done. I'm like, man, when I kill a cockroach or any bugs or whatever invading my space or invading my home, I've never seen a bug just like when you spray with the chemicals. He's like, "Oh, you know what? I accept my fate." No, it fights. It tries to run away. As the poison start getting into the bug is still struggling, trying to breathe. Right. Same thing with an animal when they're hunting it. Right. When the animal get pow. Right. And the animal, let's say the hunter misses the heart or hits an organ. What is the animal trying to do? Trying to escape, trying to survive. The animal is not going to be like, you know what, it's over, let me just, no, it tries to fight. So what is that energy, what is that thing that's making all of these living things holding on to life even though it is imminent to them that life is about to be taken away from them? That is something to think about. Yeah? Because it's something that I've thought about before. So I know some of people may be chuckling for what I just mentioned, but think about it. Let me continue on the article. It says risk factor. It says not every attempt at suicide results in completion, although first attempts are often followed by fatal second attempts. So most people they try, like it's not just one time thing. So if you hear like again, for those of you listening, if you have a loved one, friends, family, coworker ever mentions that they've tried to do it, give them this number or get someone who can help them because it is a serious issue. And as men, we need to help our fellow man, our fellow mankind, because we should heed to their pains. Silence. We men would love to be quiet. And I remember years back, I was reading a report that said, uh, retirement homes also, a lot of men, like when it comes to men and women, the women they will have they'll have family members visit them, or they'll have their girlfriends. They'll be talking, but men tend to be alone, in their rooms, and their mortality rate is very high, or that solitude accelerate their deaths. So that's why I emphasize that men, in these times that we live in, we must communicate. We must talk to each other. We all we got, because as society, it seems that we live in a society that don't care about men. Let me continue. It says the most common risk factor for suicides are being bullied at school, college, or work. Have we all been experienced that? Not all of us must were bullied in some way, shape, or form. We all know what they're talking about, right? So yeah, I know the feeling. It's not new. We all went through it. Right? It's a feeling that nobody wants to feel. Let me switch the image so you guys can listen to me while. All right, it says the second, divorce or relationship breakdowns, history of physical and sexual abuse, imprisonment, loss of a loved one through trauma or disease, mental illness, particularly where this is related to depression, and painful or debilitating illnesses or conditions. Not being able to form or sustain meaningful relationships, which is common. Social isolation or living alone. That's why Japan. I'll have another article about our brothers in Japan, because Japan right now it's very suicide is very it's like one of the hottest topic, but society is still ignoring them. Unemployment, using drugs or alcohol to help cope with emotions, relationships, the pressures, work, or other issues. See, it mentions a key point. It says in older men, suicide is most strongly associated with depression, physical pain and illness, living alone, and feelings of hopelessness and guilt. And here's the irony: I live alone, but I'm not depressed. I love my space. The thing is, like I say, many men who may have mental problems, they don't people who don't express themselves. That's why it tends to happen. They create their own prisons. But me, the reason why I don't have any depression, why? Because I'm a child of the Most High. I believe in the scriptures that the world hates. The Bible says, you may be alone, but remember the Most High, His Son, the Holy Spirit, and all the hosts of heaven are there to help you. So I am not alone. So my mental clarity is strengthened. Why? Because I have full conviction that I'm not alone. Even if the whole world is against me, the Most High says, if I am with you, who can be against you? Nobody. That's why I'm always in joy. Why? Because I know who I am and I know what I have. How many men out there feel such the same way I do? Not so many. Hence, what look at society. And the irony is when you extend your hand and give them something that helped you, the people reject it. And this goes out to all the Bible haters out there. I tell them, I'm like, hey, you're hating a book, but guess what? That book that you hate, I'm still alive today because of that book. People say, how do you go through life? How do you go through life? I'm like, the Bible. Some people will call it copying. I'm like, guess what? Hey, I'm still alive, am I? There you go. Yes. I have a sound mind, have I? Yes. I don't have any mental illness, have I? No. You know why? Because the Bible answers all of it. It tells me exactly what it is and it gives you the answer. My channel is called Fasting is Life. Do you know what fasting does to your mind? Did you know that according to the scriptures, demons or what people call mental illness, those voices cannot be in your head when you're fasting? Why? When you punish your body, when you take control of your body, those voices cannot reside in your body. Yes. And when you're fasting, what is the rule? No consumption on nothing. So if you're on the psychotropic drugs and you stop taking them, guess what happens? Those voices go away. But fasting is demonized. The science of this society, they hate it. They don't promote it. They call it dangerous. And in my previous video, I mentioned, I'm like, we live in a capitalist nation. Everything that is done is because of money. So don't you think this could be there's money somewhere behind all of this? You don't think there's money behind, or which is like the cause and effect is some way tied to money? Because when you hear drugs or prescription drugs, you know what that sounds like? Ding ding ding, you got it. Money. All right. Let me get back to the article. All right, it says explanations. In addition to the above risks, was it? In addition to the above risk factors, there are some other theories as to why men are at greater risk of death by suicide. Traditional male gender roles discourage emotional expression. There you go. That's men are told they need to be tough and that they should not need to ask for help. Hence, the health was it the welfare system. You know, women are most likely to receive help from the government than men. Why? Because you're a man. That's why most of the homeless population are males. And guess what? The government doesn't care. Such rigid gender norms may make it difficult for men to reach out and ask for support where they need it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Depression may be underdiagnosed in men. Men often do not disclose feelings or depression or the feelings of depression to their doctors. When they do, it is often described in terms of having problems at work or in relationships. See? See? Hey, but guess what? Hey, I'm no doctor, but guess what? Most people put their trust in the pharmaceutical. So there you have it. There you go. Trust them because they know better. They got the degrees. Men also tend to describe their feelings as stress, quote unquote, rather than sadness or hopelessness. Why? Because they'll be called sissies or you weak, you're a princess, stuff like that. Men are less likely to seek help for emotional problems. Research suggests that depression is diagnosed less frequently in men because of the tendency to deny illness, self monitor symptoms, and self treat. Men may be more likely to self treat symptoms of depression with alcohol and other substances. Mhm. Yeah. And don't forget sex too. Some men, if they're not getting sex, they will become depressed. Hence, the rise of voluntary celibates. It is one of the most rising topics. But like I said, there's nothing new under the sun. We live in a society where men feel like everything they do is bad. So, and even if you look, there was a report. It was funny. They said that there will be 300,000 less babies born this year, and they're talking about the decline in marriage, relationship, all that stuff, and they're talking about how this pandemic that happened to Rovina 19 and all that stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of things happening, but I'm a Bible person. I understand why it's happening, but nobody wants to listen to the Bible. They better off watching TV. Be entertained. All right, let me go to the next section. All right, and we're 20 minutes in. I know it's a very interesting topic. It's not something I can just finish in a few minutes. All right. Well, before we continue, please make sure to like and subscribe. All right, let's get into it. Prevention. There are strategies that both individuals and communities can utilize to help reduce the risk of male suicides. All right, let's see the list that's going to help the people. Mhm. Let's see the list. All right, what is the list? Watching for signs of depression. Symptoms of depression in men include irritability, which is getting angry quick, social withdrawals, anxiety, loss of interest or pleasure, physical pains and complaints, engaging in risky behaviors, misusing drugs and alcohol, and being unable to keep up with normal daily tasks. Right? Offering support. If you notice signs of depression, ask what you can do to help and let them know that you are here to listen and help. Not ignoring the signs, right? Because sometimes, like I say, men, we tend to keep things to ourselves because it's our nature. But if you know somebody who's keeping quiet, don't forget to extend your hands. You never know. You never know. The Bible says, love your neighbor as you love thyself, right? So if you know, as men, we tend not to ask for help, maybe extend the hand. Extend your hand because you never know. You never know. Me, I usually, like, if I have time, I'll send like a mass text to people that I know in touch. Some people I don't talk. I understand. Like I say, people have their own lives. Thing may happen. People are busy. They focus with people who are around in the immediate proximity. So it'll make sense if you haven't talked to somebody or you haven't heard from someone for years. It's understandable. But it's ironic we live in quote unquote advanced technological age where getting in touch with somebody is easy. Like, you can send someone a text on the other side of the world, you reach them. But it seems like we quote unquote advancing in knowledge and technology and people becoming less social. Isn't that crazy? Someone who lives 20 miles away from you, you haven't even seen in months or years. That's wild. All right, let's continue. Hmm. Let's see, what was the other part? Not ignoring the signs. Avoid dismissing or making light of comments that indicate suicidal thoughts or behaviors. If you hear suicidal talks or statements, encourage them to talk to their doctor or therapist. Emotional and practical support is important for helping people to adjust their circumstances in order to restore well being. The warning signs listed above do not inevitably lead to suicide attempts. However, people who feel suicidal often report a certain kind of tunnel vision, of being unable to see the broader picture and thinking only in terms of black and white. So they're basically saying, like, that's what I was saying earlier. Once a person make up their mind by hearing that voice, they will hear nothing else. They will say terms like, you know what? Life is meaningless. What's the point of moving on? Maybe I'll find peace in death. Nobody listens to me. I'm a myself. Nobody can understand me. Me, which may sound like selfishness, but the whole point is that it's the voice, those demons, those evil spirits, which lead men astray. Like I said, this kind of stuff people don't like to talk about, but man, I'm telling you, Give spirituality a chance and maybe honest. Why do you think my crazy mind is the way it is? Why? Because I understand. I've learned. Knowledge, the saying, what knowledge is power. Once you know, you can overcome something that you didn't know. Ignorance is bliss. I know what mental illness is. So guess what? It's never gonna happen to me. Once those thought comes to my mind, I know what it is because I know who I am, and nothing can distract me from who I am because I know who I am. Nothing else can convince me otherwise. I know I'm a man. Nobody can come and try to convince me that I'm a woman. It doesn't matter if they use magic spell, throw me some dust that will make me forget. There's no way they can make me look into my mind and be like, you know what? Maybe I am a woman. It's never gonna happen. Why? Because I know who I am. There is no way those voices can convince me otherwise. All right, let me continue. It says, in such circumstances, referring to when someone have a tunnel vision, that individual may not be motivated to seek out help for themselves, and it often falls on others to offer support by listening, offering encouragement, and sometimes even challenging the preconceptions that people hold about themselves, such as their abilities and worth to society. Other ways to help reduce male suicide. This is how you can help. Identify men who are at risk and offer support. Teach men coping and problem solving skills to help them manage challenges with work, relationship, and health issues. And speaking about coping, this is another thing, right? Before I can continue to the next ways to help. Guys, according to the scriptures, we are in the last days. In the book of Baruch, it talked about that the fallen angels, the gods, they will release those old ancient spirits from the days of Noah, which will attack men. He called them chetims, which is an ancient word which means demons. That says that will attack people, man, and will drive them mad. Sorry, and in old English, mad is madness is crazy. And what is that today? Mental illness. It talks about that those chitims will attack men's minds and call and lead them to their destruction. Suicide is a spiritual attack, and what's happening is as society becomes more evil, you know, coping. Like they talk about coping, but here's the thing: if you're coping with a system that's actually destroying you, it's counterintuitive. You know, if society is not win is doesn't want to solve the problem, how can they help you cope when you are having this suicidal thought because of society? And another reason why some of the people who are committing suicide, you want to know why? Because once they see beyond the veil, once their eyes see the reality of this world, some of them they can't handle it. They can't handle the truth. And it's like a shock where they're like, I just want to be out of here. I can't take it no more. I can't unseen what I see. That's why many of the military men are more they are one of the groups who are likely to do it. Why? Because especially military men who went through war, who've seen war, you want to know why they have what they call PTSD, post traumatic, all whatever term they come out. You want to know why? Because men of war see what they shouldn't have seen, or they see things not as they imagine. They see what is, and their mind cannot handle it. It's like they're no longer quote unquote innocent because of what they've experienced. The trauma is just too much. They cannot quote unquote play the part when they return to a peaceful environment. They can't. They can't. All right, let me continue. Let me wrap it up. The third way to help male suicide: make mental health support options readily available. Like I said on the screen earlier, I put the phone number. This is the number, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Right? Remember, there's always help. Help is always around the corner, but you have to make it known. Right? And lastly, the was it create opportunities that bring groups of people together so that they can form social connection and find support, which is what I mentioned earlier about man must find brotherhood, right? You know, and I mean we see it happening, right? Let's say here on the Manos, was it online? There is a male circle called the Manosphere where men come to talk about different topics, whether it's about women, was it child support, divorce, marriage, relationship, society, money, health, fitness, all that, where men from different parts of the world come together to speak on things they talk, that they can relate. And the last one is restrict access to lethal means of suicide, such as firearms and prescription drugs. Right. By it's to me, I'm not surprised they're talking about firearm, but at the end of the day, you know if someone wants to do something, they will do it. The thing is, all of that, people won't reach that point when society, the keyword society is set up, which leads to it. And there's more that I could speak on, but let me just end on this note for those of you listening. You know, men are simple creatures, yet it amazes us as men. To all the men listening, you can attest to this. Men are so simple yet misunderstood, which to us as logical beings, it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, we're so simple, right? It's like you think people will figure this out, or, figure us out, especially our quote unquote counterpart, the women, the female power, our females, they will understand. But it's like, man, we're not that complicated. We're simple, right? Even comedians that make a joke, they'll be like, keep quiet, feed us, and give us sex, and we good. We relax. you know, men have different ways of releasing their stress, but one thing men of old have figured out is brotherhood is how men coped with our reality. Somebody that we can relate. That's why, fighting was another way men cope. Why? Because the release of energy was another stress releaser. And for some men, sex was a good releaser, especially if you live in a society where sex is restricted. A lot of men may go crazy because men have high testosterone, and they got to. And if you talked about, with many marriages have sexless, a lot of sexless marriage out there. So there's a lot of like I say, when I say society as a whole doesn't care, and that's the truth. So what is the solution? Each man has to figure out. I mentioned earlier, uh, extend your hand, help your fellow man, because I really know men don't talk. We keep things to ourselves, and man, create brotherhood. You know, create brotherhood. And that's what I tell you. Racism is a great propaganda because you may look at somebody. Oh, you can be part of my brotherhood because of your skin color, but you don't have no idea. Maybe this could be the person who will help you in a time of need. Because men are being affected regardless of race. You're a man. It doesn't matter. You're gonna be affected. So I'll end on that note. I wanna say thank you to everybody who stopped by to my podcast and stream. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to like and subscribe and share this video. and share this podcast. I really appreciate it, guys. I figure I'm like maybe this could be a topic I will talk about since spring is here. Looks like a lot of places are gonna be fully open. There's not gonna be quarantine topics anymore, so you can actually travel. I'll recommend all of you men out there to travel, get out of town, just go relax, take a weekend off, take a week off from work, walk away from the stress of work, hang out with your brothers that you haven't hung out. If you have a family, chill with them, talk to your children, because some men may have a beautiful family but they're depressed. So think about this. When was the last time you talked to your children, where you spend 6 hours just talking to your children, playing games, finding out what they like and all that stuff, instead of you just being going to work, doing what society requires you to do, and you feel like you're not doing enough. Like, there's a lot of things we can do as men, you know but as men, I cannot tell you what to do. You as a man have the power to make your own decision. But remember, if whenever you feel like there's no a helping hand, look around you. There's somebody who's ready to help you, but he can't read your mind. Speak, as the scripture says, speak unto the wind, and the wind will carry your voice where it's going to be received. It may not be received with the people who are around you immediately, but somebody out there will hear you and will hear your cry for help, and he will answer. He or she. All right. Peace and blessings, and y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.